Good morning. Welcome to Viking Preparedness. I am PJ. I appreciate y'all. You know I do here on Patreon. I love our interaction. I love the quality of people here. So thank you for being you. I'm telling you that because I'm probably going to release this video to YouTube in a couple days because it's really directed at a segment of the YouTube people. I have a YouTube channel, and most of the people who watch my channel on YouTube are awesome. They're fine people. But it ain't like Patreon. And I get, probably everybody does, the trolls, the whiners, the self-entitled basement dwellers, right? And sometimes they amuse me, sometimes they irritate the heck out of me. And there is what I want to talk about is the people who say that off-gridders are liars or grifters, aren't really doing it. I get so many comments on YouTube that I'm not really off-grid. And I'm going to address all that. There's a whole genre of content creators, and I have nothing against content creators. If you can make money, if you can make a living out of producing videos that people watch, good for you. Good for you. But there is a type of content creator that I don't have respect for, and that is the creator who just goes off of other people's work. You know, the voice coaches that listen to some new song and go, ooh, and then try to comment on it. It's like, why don't you go make your own darn song? And then, you know, be creative with that. Or another whole genre, getting to the point of this video, of, man, there's a lot of videos out there that are like off-grid, I was going to say homestead or homeschool, off-grid grifters, off-grid liars. I get so many comments on YouTube, people telling me I don't really live off-grid. And so I'm going to address that. First of all, the people that make those videos, they don't produce anything of real content themselves. They're constantly riffing off of other people. They have no original thought. Have some original thought. But here's the deal. There's also people who just go along because they don't think deeply, right? So they hear it once or twice or 5 times and they're like, that's true. Yeah, PJ, you're not really off-grid. How are you making videos if you're off-grid? So let's address that, shall we? Oh, and then there's another whole, because I get these comments too, there's another whole stream of commenting about how we're all secret millionaires, or we all have money, and this, they use it to poo-poo when I tell people, come out of her, my people, come away from the built-up areas. If you want to survive what's coming, get out of the built-up areas, move to a rural area, and do what you do. And they're like, no, you can't do it because I don't have money. You don't understand. And I'm going to kind of address all of that. But first, because they're in my pocket and they're bothering me, if you're interested at all in preparing, I wrote the book, Survival as Family, Prepared Americans for a Strong America, by me. I wrote this book a while ago. It's selling very well on Amazon in the genre. You can also best get it at grindstoneministries.com, because then instead of some huge corporation getting the profit, my brothers and sisters do. And you can get it elsewhere. And then my wife wrote a book that is based on what we're talking about today a little bit, Homestead Hints by S.K. Fox, available at fine bookstores everywhere. So there you go. Okay, now let me set these down and let's get going. To the people who say you don't live off-grid, or those off-gridders are lying, or whatever. Maybe some of them are. Maybe, I don't know. The truth be told, I don't watch many videos at all, because I'm living the neo-pioneer off-grid lifestyle, and I ain't got time for that. But for the people who say I'm lying, if you've been on Patreon, you know I'm not, because I share my daily life with you every day. It's not like I leave here and go back to my mansion at night and go, right? We live off-grid. Now, you may define off-grid otherwise. And if we have a difference in the way we define on-grid, off-grid, fine. The way I define off-grid, which is how we are living, is I have no utilities coming onto this land, that we're hooked into. I have no electricity coming, on electric wires to our house. There is a line of electric lines that go across part of my property, but we're not tapped into it. It's just they have an easement. I have no water, no county water coming in here, no water pipes, that the county put in, no cable TV. What else? No sewer, right? We don't have any of that stuff. We are off grid. And when we came here, that was not our intention. I'm not the guy saying you need to live off grid. I'm the guy saying you need to go move to a rural area. When we came here, we wanted to be on grid. We wanted to hook up to electricity and water and dig a septic tank, septic field, and all that stuff. We wanted that. Turned out, for a variety of reasons, we couldn't afford to do that. And so, I was young then. I was 50. And I said, I've always kind of wanted to live off grid. Let's give that a go. And here we are over 10 years later. We're off grid. We're not faking it. We catch rainwater. We have wells. Oh, okay. I was just looking at my rainwater system going, what is wrong with that? Hold on. Oh, we're okay. I thought my pipe was disconnected. We catch water off the roof. It goes through gutters. It goes into big IBC totes. I've done videos on it. That's where we get our water. My wife and I lived for 2.5 years in a 7-foot wide by 17-foot long 1978 camper trailer that I bought for $300 and drugged down here. We lived in that for 2.5 years. No heat, no water, no nothing. It was just like a bed, and it had a stove and a shower stall. And then we moved into our house that we built ourselves, and lived in that for years. I don't know, almost 10 years. Well, 7.5 years without running water of any kind. Like, I would go outside and get buckets of water and bring the buckets of water into the house, and we would use that for bathing, washing clothes, washing dishes, put it in a big Berkey to drink, all that stuff. Then we got solar, and now we have solar electricity, but it's, made by the sun on our panels and then goes into a battery bank, and then we draw off the battery bank to charge cell phones and laptops and turn lights on when we need them, run a refrigerator and all that. But we're off grid. Now, I get it. Some people define off-grid as like dropping out, the ultimate gray man, the invisible man. He's off the grid. We can't find him anywhere. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about utilities, and we are, in fact, off-grid. And I think a lot of the people that you see out there are off-grid like that. Most of them have really nice solar systems, the ones that are the influencers. That costs a lot of money, fine. My system costs a lot of money. And we're going to talk about money. But I think they're off-grid. I don't think they're lying. Why would they? It just doesn't matter. Now, the homesteaders, there's another whole theme that homesteaders are lying also. They're not really homesteading. They've got a real job or, whatever. Look, they got a new truck. Again, I think it comes down to how you define homesteading. I define homesteading as trying to make as much of a living, I'm not using the word correctly, as you can from land. Trying to be as self-sufficient, as self-reliant as you can. Does that mean that you don't go buy? I saw one video open up with a woman talking about how she really loves the off-grid lifestyle, and she was pretending to be that kind of person. And then she pops open like a Starbucks milk and coffee thing and drinks it, right? Yeah, I mean, we're all people. If there was somebody who was like living in a cabin and trapping raccoons and fishing catfish out of the swamp and, lighting with fat wood in their cabin, you wouldn't see videos by them, right? So again, it's just a matter of what you consider. Again, I'm not a big proponent for you have to move and live off-grid. I'm a big proponent for you should move to a rural area and start producing your own food and have a plan whatever that plan is, to live when there is no electricity flowing through the pipes and when there is through the wires, or when there's no water flowing through the pipes. You should have a plan for that. And so I just had a guy here on Patreon, a friend of mine, who is not off-grid. He lives in a town, and he wrote me an email or a text, and he goes, you know, it's really cool that I'm paraphrasing probably badly, it's really cool that I set up my own water catchment system off my roof, even though I'm hooked up to city water, because the water main broke and there's been no water for the city for all day, and I haven't missed a beat. Same thing if you set up a solar system at your house that's on the grid, and then when the power goes out, you still have power, that kind of thing. So, you know, you want to get hung up on terms, you can, but I'm pretty honest about what I say I consider off-grid, and we consider ourselves off-grid neo-pioneers. Why do we call ourselves neo-pioneers? Because when we moved here, this area that I'm standing in was all forest. Everywhere on this land was forest. There was no open space at all, and we had to chop down trees and do all this stuff. Now, we didn't do it all with hand. We didn't chop down any trees with hand axes, and we paid some people with bulldozers to come out and do things and yada yada yada. But we're carving a living out of nothing. We didn't come and show up and there's a nice little turnkey operation, right? So there you go. And I think a lot of other people do that too. There's a lot of, we're getting to money, there's a lot of jealousy and envy out there. I watch, and I recommend you watch, I'm subscribed, is it Kristen or Kirsten? Dirksen? Kristen Dirksen, y'all know who I'm talking about. She does really high quality videos of people who live kind of off-griddy, kind of quirky. They're really fascinating, and she does a really good job of that. And yeah, a lot of the places she goes, it's sweet. You know, their houses look like $4 million houses, and the grounds are beautiful. And, well, for one thing, those people have generally lived there for a long time and really worked at it. And number two, yeah, they put a lot of money in it. Okay. Okay. America, capitalism. And they earn money somehow to do that. I was listening, ahead of making this video, I was going through a bunch of those, they're lying about living off-grid, and they kept hitting the money issue. And they never tell you how they make their money. Well, number one, it's none of our damn business how they make their money, right? You know, they're not talking about money. They're talking about, this is my solar setup, or this is how I raise my cattle, or this is how I'm doing this garden. I mean, it doesn't really matter to what they're talking about, how they got the money. But yeah, a lot of people, land costs money. Right? It's going to take money. You're going to have to make some money if you want to buy some land. Now, when we bought this land that I'm standing on, it was $237 an acre. That was cheap then too. It's 100 times that now. I could not afford this land I'm standing on now, but it was cheap back then. That's not to say you can't do this. I might as well well, I had a real job when we bought this. I was in the military, and we had money, and we set aside money to pay for this land, and we bought this land and paid it off when I was in the military and had a job. And then to develop this land, and you don't see it right now, it looks kind of messy and all that, but there's a lot of money put into this land. I mean, bulldozers cost money, right? When you're paying somebody to bulldoze and that kind of thing. I went and got a job. I got a job working as a consultant, and I got consultant money, and we poured it all into the land. And then that sounds like a turkey. You probably didn't hear it, but I just did. So I got a job doing that. And now for maintenance, you know, maintenance money, I have a military pension, which isn't that much. It's publicly available. You can look it up. And then I make money on YouTube, and I make money on Patreon, and I do little odd jobs here and there, and I teach, and, you know, that kind of thing. And so, you know, I'm not hiding that. It's just, it's not what my channel's about. So it doesn't matter. So yeah, great, PJ. You've got all this money and and I can't. Okay, see, I don't like excuses. I throw them away, and I just talked at some level here on Patreon recently. We recently, like less than a year ago, had a 19-year-old join our tribe. Came from far, far away. Did not even have a GED, and didn't have a whole lot of money. I mean, he had money that he had made working in a job as a teenager, and he saved his money. Mommy and daddy did not give him any money. He didn't show up here with $10,000. And he lived with us here on Shofar Mountain for a while. And then he bought land. He bought a house. He has a job. He lives off grid. Oh, how could he do that? Because, you know, you can find an acre, 2 acres, 3 acres of land if you look very hard for not that much money. You know, a couple $1,000. He bought a cabin, kind of like that, used. We helped him move it. He bought it for a very good price. They wanted it off their land. And so, you know, I think he paid $100 for it. And we moved it onto his land. He moved into it. Somebody gave him a little wood stove. And he went and found himself a job so he can buy groceries and continue to add on to his cabin and make more. But here's a now 20-year-old who has land. He owns it. He bought it outright. He has a house. Now, granted, it's an uninsulated shed at this point, but he's living in it and he's improving it probably weekly. I haven't seen him for about a month. Then he went and he found a job. If he can do it, you can do it. He didn't start out with money. He didn't start out with a PhD in whatever. He's just a regular guy who is willing to take a risk, works really hard, and knows what he wants. And so he goes for it. He's living off grid, but he has a job. Yeah, he does, because stuff costs money still in this system. You got to have a way of making money. You got to figure that out. And so there you go. I don't think these off-grid people are lying. I think they're just not telling you everything. And if you want to assume things about them, then go ahead. If you want to whine about the fact that they've got money coming in from somewhere else, well, then you're just whining. Figure out how to do, if you want to do it, if you really want to do it, if you want to do something similar, figure out how to do it and go do it. Quit trying to cast aspersions on other people. Now, I see I'm getting a little irritated because really, Patreon, I'm thinking about the commenters I'm going to get on YouTube. And again, the vast majority of them will be fine comments, but it's just those trolls, man. Don't feed the trolls, PJ. But, hey, gang, we'll sum this up. You can do this if you want. And if you don't want to do it, what do you care if somebody else is doing it, faking it, or whatever? You know what I mean? Why do you care? Why do you care so much about other people? I look at videos, for the most part, for inspiration. I looked at all the grifter videos today for inspiration for this video. But when I watch homesteading videos, and usually I'll watch it if they're talking about something I'm interested in. You know, here we're making a wood-fired pizza oven or something, which is something I want to build. I'll watch that video, you know, dun, 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 dun. Or if somebody says, have you seen these people? I'll watch a couple of their videos just to kind of get a feel for what they're doing. But gang, they're all out there just doing it. And instead of people giving them crap and poo-pooing it and sour grapes, and I could never do that, you got to make your own way. And if you're happy living a life of mediocrity in suburbia, bully for you. I know, that was mean. All right. I'm interested in what you think. I am. I'm interested if you've seen, and I'm talking to Patreon now. I don't care if you comment or not because, you know, you're here. I don't get paid more from more people that watch the video. But I am interested If you've seen these like grifter type, you know, all off gridders are lying and grifters, or it takes $1 bazillion to live that lifestyle. If you've got thoughts on that, I'm interested. And I know that a lot of y'all here in Patreon land are doing something similar to this, you know, probably nicer than how we're doing it, right? And that's cool. Just a quick, SK and I came down our driveway the other day, and we were talking about, we want to make the forest in this area, like just start here and kind of work out, make it more park-like, make it nice looking, more efficient for the good trees that are growing and that kind of thing. And we said, yeah, we want to make this like a national park. And we got out of our car, and what you're not looking at right now, you think that's messy, is that right there. And I said, well, we need to get on those park rangers, and they need to start by cleaning up their headquarters. So I know a lot of y'all are doing it nicer than I am, and that's good. That's great. We're all on our own path, right? You choose your path, then walk it. And I will see you out there.